So the Champions League over in Aichi just finished, and with that, new cards were just announced. So more cards revealed from Black Bolt and White Flare, including new BWR rarity cards. So we don't really care about the rarity cards, right now we're just looking for the competitive cards, and I'll tell you there are some really sick cards that were revealed. First of all, let's take a quick look at Electric. So Lightning Pokemon, 90 HP, nothing crazy. However, the ability Dynamotor. If you guys have been playing the game in the past 2-3 years, you'll know that Flaffy had Dynamotor, and that was the card that was able to attach a Lightning Energy card from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon once during your turn. So we've got a new Lightning Energy engine, so you don't need to rely on your electric generators anymore, so you can kind of just run this. Some cards that I'm thinking will really enjoy this would be Pika EX, Iron Hands definitely, and obviously the Raging Bolt could definitely see some play with this card, because now you can just set up 2 to 3 of these, and every turn you can play Sada, which gets you 2 energy, or Crispin, which gets you 2 energy, Manual Attach, and then 2 of these. You're getting 5 energy set up each turn basically, and that's, yeah, 350 damage. It is really cool. That deck is really reminding me of the Ultra Necrozma Malamar deck, if you guys remember that, and I think it definitely is going to see a lot of play. There's another card quite similar that was announced, and that was announced actually yesterday, and that was Emball, which with the ability Inferno Fandango, as often as you like, you may attach a fire card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. And this is sick. We already have a card like this in standard format right now, which is Baxcalibur. However, water Pokemon haven't seen too much love as of late, so we might be seeing some sick fire Pokemon, and just beneath that we have Reshiram EX, which I honestly think this card is going to see play. For 2 fire and a colorless, 130 damage, plus 50 for each prize card your opponent's taken. We've seen Charizard EX, right, have the exact same attack basically. However, Charizard EX is base 180, and this is base 130, but it's plus 50, whereas Charizard is plus 30. So if your opponent takes 3 prize cards, you're going to be doing 280 damage, and then from there, if they take 4, that's 320. That's one-shotting most of the stage 2s in the game. That's hitting the sweet spot for Dragapult and for Gardevoir. So on a basic, I do think this card is going to see play, especially now with Emball in the format, and we'll see if any more sick fire Pokemon get released. We've got Samurott, which its ability is Strong Currents. Once during your turn, you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. If you do, your opponent does the same. So it's alright, and then 30 damage plus 50 for each energy. As a stage 2, probably not going to see too much play, unfortunately. We see Kyurem over here, which also has Slash. We see a lot of these Pokemon, Zekrom, Kyurem, and Reshiram, all have the same first attack, 2 colorless energy, and it's 50 damage Slash, except they have very different second attacks, all of them costing 2 of their respective energy and then 1 colorless. We got Blizzard Burst on Kyurem EX, which does 130 plus 10 to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each prize card your opponent has taken. So yeah, they all have this base 130 plus a extra additional something. So, and then you've got Zekrom, which is 130 plus 50 for each prize card your opponent has taken, and then it does 30 damage to itself. That's the similar effect to the Reshiram. However, Reshiram is discarding energy from this Pokemon. So I can definitely see the Zekrom and the Reshiram seeing some play. The Kyurem, I'm honestly not too sure. 130 is cool, and then the 10 damage to your opponent's bench is nice. However, now with Shaman coming into the format, I'm not too sure how much of a use this Blizzard Burst is going to see. And yeah, that's all for this page over here. Oh, sorry, we skipped over Superior, which actually Superior is quite cool. So we've got Royal Cheers, the ability, which is attacks used by your Pokemon do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, and it does stack. However, it is a stage 2, so it's a little bit difficult to get out, and it's not just your Superior, it's any Pokemon. So whatever Pokemon you have up and active will be doing 20 extra damage. And then you've got Grass Order for Grass and Triple Colorless, does 150 damage, and then you may search your deck for up to 3 cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Obviously, this attack cost is a little bit sketchy. However, a card that I'm going to show you now actually really helps with that. Then underneath that we've got Victini for 2 fire, does 120. If you have less than 5 bench, it does nothing. Not a bad card actually for 2 energy, 120 on a basic, 1 prizer. That's pretty decent. Moving on to the next page, we just looked at the Electric there, and moving down we've got Stoutland, which has Otisluth, flip 3 coins for each head, put a card from your discard pile into your hand. Now that is pretty cool. I'm sure we'll see some things cooked up. 2 colorless energy, That's not an issue, we'll see why in a sec. And then we've got Special Fang for 4 colorless, 100 damage, and plus 100 if you have any special energy attached. Not a crazy attack, unfortunately. And now we're getting into the really sick things. So we've got Energy Retrieval reprint, we see that eye stamp in the bottom, and now we've got Air Balloon. So Air Balloon is back, and the retreat cost of the Pokemon this card is attached to is 2 colors less. This is great. Decks like Goldengo are really going to enjoy this, and any real like stage 1 like Arcaludon as well is probably going to enjoy these kinds of cards. Maybe not so much Arcaludon because you want to get rid of that energy when you retreat, so you can use it again with the ability. But yeah, Goldengo is really going to appreciate this because they can't abuse the Latias and stuff. So I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of Air Balloon being played. Then we've got Professor Research. It's just a different art. However, it's not a reprint. So 2026 might see Boss and Research get rotated at the same time, which would be quite funny. Then we've got Hilda. And Hilda is really similar to a card we already have right now, which is Colress. And it's search your deck for 1 evolution Pokemon and an energy card, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So instead of a stadium, it's an evolution Pokemon, and I think this is quite nice. I think Dragapult might play this because now you're able to search for an energy, so you can attach to your monkeys and stuff, and it's just an energy card, right? It's not a basic energy card, so you can search for the new special energies that we got. Prism Energy, we have seen these cards. We've actually seen both these before. I'm pretty sure we saw Ignition Energy under a different name though. But first, looking at Prism Energy, this card provides Colorless Energy. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is a basic Pokemon, it provides every kind of energy, but only 1 at a time. So essentially, if you're running a basic box deck with whatever, then this card is going to be really sick because it counts as any energy, and unlike Luminous Energy, which is capped out to only 1 attached, this one you can attach multiple. So for example, if you play Munkidori and you attach this now counts as dark, and if you attach another, it doesn't cancel out the effect, you just now have 2 of any energy attached to it. So that is really cool. But now what I think is probably the coolest card that has been announced is Ignition Energy. If this card is attached to one of your Pokemon, discard it at the end of your turn. This card provides 1 colorless energy when it's attached to a Pokemon. However, if it's attached to an evolution Pokemon, it provides 3 colorless instead. So now you can see why I'm saying that these attack costs aren't actually that difficult to reach, and why Serperia's attack Grass Order isn't actually that bad, because you're searching deck for up to 3 cards for essentially 2 energy. 1 grass and then 1 triple colorless energy. We have seen this card basically printed before. It was triple colorless energy, which had the exact same effect basically, and the card saw a lot of play. We had a card called Persian GX, which was able to fully abuse this deck. So did Zoroark GX at the time. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of play from these cards. Some really sick cards were announced, and I'm sure that a lot of Pokemon in format will actually be able to abuse these cards. So let's just take a quick look at what Pokemon we'll be seeing paired up with these cards. So moving over to Pokemon Live, I was just taking a quick look through all the colorless Pokemon, and there are quite a few Pokemon that catch my eye. So with the new stadium that turns off colorless Pokemon abilities, I think Slacking EX might actually see quite a lot of play, because now you're able to turn off your own ability Born to Slack with your Watchtower Stadium, and then for 1 energy, because of the TCE, Great Swing does 280. Now if you attach a Max Belt or any other damage mods, you can easily hit up to 320, 330 with Fighting Belt, I think that's his name, Karate Belt, whatever his name is. So I think honestly, for 1 energy, being able to one-shot basically anything in the game is actually going to be really good. So Slacking EX, if I'm you guys, I'm going to start looking for some Slacking EXs to pick up for myself. There's some cool full art where he's just chilling. Another card I was thinking of was also Slacking, however just the baby Slacking. Same thing with the Watchtower, turns off his shitty ability, and then for 1 energy, because of the TCE, it does 240 damage. And that's pretty good, right? See, it is still a stage 2, but I'm sure you could probably play 1 copy of this in the deck with Slacking EX already, because you're going to be playing quad TCE probably anyway. If we take a quick look at all the Lightning Pokemon in format with the new Electros announced, there are quite a few cool Pokemon here that can definitely see some play. We've got Kilowattrel, which does 40 plus 40 for each Lightning attached to it. It's probably not going to be as good as Raging Bolt, obviously, but I just thought it could be a cool little inclusion. Another thing would be the Iron Hands. Obviously, Iron Hands is really good, and honestly, any Terra Pokemon that needs a Lightning attached to it could definitely see a lot of play, because now we have our Electros attaching that lightning, and then we can go Crispin for the other two. So a lot of these weirder, more costly Terra attacks could definitely see a lot more play. For example, Fulgurite, right? It needs a lightning, a grass, and a fighting, and with a Crispin and one Electros set up, you could easily be hitting that basically every turn, because it discards the energy. So where does Electros attach the energy from? The discard. So really simple. Another thing is Iron Thorns. Iron Thorns turns off all Rulebox Pokemon, so you can get this set up a little bit faster. However, Iron Thorns doesn't really want liabilities on the bench. Now, if we take a look at the Fire Pokemon, thanks to the Emboar, the first thing that catches my eye is the Armarouge EX, which has a really nice ability. If it's full HP, it takes 80 less damage, basically making it a 340 HP Pokemon, and then it does 40 plus 40 for each fire attached to it. So the damage does ramp up quite quickly. I'll put the math up on screen now, and yeah, you see, like, at a point you start dealing quite a bit of damage. So yeah, and obviously we can pair that up with other things. And something else that was quite cool would be the new Ethan's Pokemon coming out. If we take a look at the new Magcargo and the Ho-Oh, both of these Pokemon can definitely abuse the Emboar. We'll have to see how the meta plays out though, but yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, please smash like, subscribe, and we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the month. If we're able to do that, I will be very grateful. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.